Welcome to another episode of Business Outlook. My name is Gleason, and I'm an assistant business editor here at the Journal. With me today is Manali Narkhede, who's a climate tech enthusiast. She moved here from India about 2 years ago and is trying her hand at the New Mexico climate tech startup scene. I hope you enjoy the episode.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Manali, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me over, Megan.
Yeah, I'm really happy we connected on LinkedIn. I saw that you had joined the New Mexico Climate Board, which kind of sparked my interest. But before we get into the good stuff, tell us more about yourself. You're originally from India, right?
Yeah, so I'm from India. I did my engineering back in India. And again, those who don't know, I did my bachelor's in civil engineering. And after I graduated, I joined a leading engineering and technology company in the energy sector as a civil and structural engineer. And within few years of being in that role, I got to work in different functions in the same company where I worked in the projects as a project engineer. Then I moved into business development and sales as a proposal manager. And then I worked in marketing communications where I was donning multiple hats, be it internal communications or managing the branding of our company. Because again, when I joined the company, there was a slump in oil and gas industry. So it's a very unfortunate time. I was very happy when I graduated thinking that, I'm going into oil and gas, I'm going to make a lot of money. But as soon as I joined the company, there was a 2-year slump. And during that time, my organization, back in those days, it was called TechNep. It had to merge with another company called FMC Technologies. And then we had expanded our business offerings in 3 segments. We were operating in offshore, onshore, and subsea. So that way, again, even though there was this slump, again, because of that slump, there was this merger and I got to get experience of multiple technologies and multiple business segments. So that's how it is. Yeah. And then again, while I was working with TechNep FMC, there was this boom of energy transition happening. So again, our company had a spin-off where the subsea section was eradicated and the focus was entirely on engineering and technologies based in energy transition, renewables or natural gas or carbon capture, all of that. So again, because I was working with that company, I had insights into all these technologies, working with the process engineers who were actually building these technologies. So I guess the interest came in, and while I was working as marketing communications manager, my head or my boss, I would say, was also associated with the sustainability goals for our company. She was the ESG leader. And since I was working directly under her supervision, I got to work on a lot of ESG roadmaps that we were framing for the new organization. And I got to have hands-on experience on how do we make the roadmap and how the entire thing works around having economic, social governance for all that we do.
Yeah. I think, the energy sector is so interesting. There's so much change over such a short period of time, I feel, which really has drawn me into reporting about energy from the oil and gas volatility to this energy transition that we're in now. But tell me about the work you're doing in New Mexico now and how it compares to the work you were doing in India.
So obviously, after I moved here, while I was in the corporate world, I always had this desire of having something of my own. And again, when I moved here, I took a class with Professor Dimitri, who was taking a course on business development and sales. And early on, I had expressed my career aspirations with him. I would like to start something of my own. And when I was thinking of doing MBA overseas, one of the things that I had looked into was the ecosystem and the opportunities over there. And back in those days, my mindset was about small business institute. I never thought about entrepreneurship or anything. But since I had expressed that desire to him that, okay, if something happens and again, as an immigrant, there are some visa regulations and all of that I have to comply with. But then again, I was thinking out loud and I was I actually want to do something of my own and align whatever skills that I have, even though it comes from engineering or my natural knack of like putting things together in a very simplified manner, so that even though it's a very complex problem, it's like broken down into like layman terms and everybody could get the essence of it. So he was very kind. Like I took the course with him and he had seen my performance during the course, and somehow this opportunity came up where CNM Ingenuity was doing this program called the New Mexico Entrepreneur and Development Program. It was funded by EDD over here because they want to retain the talent here in New Mexico. That was the main goal. And again, as an immigrant, I had my fair share of doubts, like would I have opportunities over here that would sponsor my visa? Could I be here in New Mexico and support their economy? So there was these questions which I was, luckily because I have grown in age, I have learned to be vulnerable and like speaking up where I feel that, okay, this is the dilemma I'm facing, and speaking about it to people because they may have some insights to offer or they may have some opportunities to offer. So this thing happened, and through him, I got associated with the NMEID program. And again, I was chosen for the project manager role for that program so that we see how we are structured. Our goal was to like break down 100 unmet needs into 25 viable solutions that we can actually build into a startup. And during that process, somehow or the other, I got so excited about executing the role of entrepreneur in development. So I was donning both the hats while I was in that program. And again, there were few tracks that were assigned as part of that program. And my track was agriculture tech or like energy track. So because of being associated with that track, I was able to research a lot or like dig down what are the unmet needs today and where we can like offer our expertise or like come up with a solution that is actually needed by customers in the market today.
So what are some of those unmet needs and what are the solutions?
Oh, so it's again, I could be very broad over here, but while we were a part of that program, we had to be like very specific and like go into the niche so as to understand what are the unmet needs. Because if you look over, there might be many, but if you don't have a customer for it, it is not sellable. So as part of the program, one of the initiative that I was very excited about was doing something for New Mexico farmers, where the idea was to measure however much carbon is getting stored in our soil. And if the farmers can track it in real time, they will feel confident in entering carbon markets. And by selling those carbon, they will have an extra source of income. But again, the thing is, here in New Mexico, not many farmers were aware that they can enter carbon market. And during this process, I thought that New Mexico would have a carbon pricing already set for the state. And during my research, I came across like some older documents, like some conference that happened in Santa Fe where they were in discussions like, okay, if we have to set a carbon price for New Mexico, it would be around $10 to $20 per ton of carbon that is being stored in the ground. However, like being part of that program and like getting in touch with the people at the legislature level, I got to realize that, okay, it is not something which we have in hindsight, like in foresight right now. So again, I couldn't take off with that idea, but at the same time, I was like doing multiple things. So the second idea which I had was to actually map the brackish water aquifers, because New Mexico, like obviously it is predicted that we would have like 25% less surface water in the next coming years. So like how do we make ourselves like water secure? And it was a very interesting, like it was not part of the NMEID program, but there is something called the Tech Innovation Challenge, which is conducted by UNM, where Sandia gives their technologies for students to come up with a commercialization plan. So we were assigned a technology, and we thought like how we can use this technology to solve this problem, where we can map the aquifers so that we can speed up the process of finding where we have the reserves, and then somehow utilizing private and public funding to drill the holes and like get the water out and like use it for whoever has to use it.
Yeah.
But again, while you are doing all these stuff, you realize that where are the bottlenecks when we actually try to execute an idea. And getting a technology out of the lab right now is something which is very challenging because it has a lot of legal aspect associated with it. So that is something which I'm currently working on. I don't know how it is going to roll off, but again, there are some very influential people in the clean tech space here in New Mexico who are very willing to provide direction to like young people who actually want to do something meaningful and support them with whatever resources they have.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about New Mexico. Like everybody listens very intentionally to whatever anybody, like even though we are not, I wouldn't say that I am any influential person at the moment, but still there would be these big shot people who would listen very attentively to you and like think about it and like connect it to other people so that you can actually visualize or realize your dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that's
Yeah.
come up when I've interviewed other folks about like what's good about doing
Yeah.
business in New Mexico. It's
Yeah.
like one phone call and you're talking to the secretary
Yeah,
of some state agency,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Rather
yeah.
than connecting to the middleman.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's so much innovation happening in the industry, and especially at a time I think where climate change is really ramping up the pressure to get this kind of stuff done. It's more
Yeah.
important than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So New Mexico Climate, you just started as a board member, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So it's the same thing, like we want to build an ecosystem where anybody like who has a clean tech or a clean energy idea, because I keep on talking to a lot of my friends, they are like, oh Manali, I want to use like banana fibers and make something out of it. I want to do sustainable stuff. Like this is the language that they use because again, the younger generation thinks too much about what they are leaving for the future generations and they are very passionate about it. The only thing is that they don't know right now how to enter that space, how to speak about their product or like how to approach it and like actually find like if they build something, would they actually be able to sell it? Would there be customers and all of that? And again, the production process, like how do they build the prototype or like how do they navigate around the legalities of setting up a business? How do they access capital? Because access to capital is something where we are struggling right now as a state, like for new businesses to, there's a lot of fund for sure, but like how do you tap into that fund? How do you secure those funds? And that is something. So we want to build that ecosystem where everybody could come up and meet and they would have more information about what's happening in the space right now and how they can use that information to channel whatever ideas they are coming up with.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And how would you describe, I suppose, how welcoming the state is, especially as an immigrant
Yeah.
at a time when federal policies really
Yeah.
could be described as not wanting a lot of immigrants to come to the U.S.? How welcoming is this New Mexico space?
If I'd be honest, I didn't feel an outsider since the first day that I came over here. Like I keep on hearing it from other people that, oh, if you go to any other big city, people don't even smile at you. They don't even, because everybody is in a rush to make a living for themselves. But here the people are very warm. And again, I'm like less than 2 years being here in the US. So I'm like fairly new to this country, I would say. But still, the state and the people over here, I have felt like they have a very warm heart and they have a lot of, I don't know, I have experienced a lot of compassion from people over here. And again, access to the nature is something which makes this place very beautiful to people who actually like to venture out and have more outdoorsy stuff to do.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Is that, do you
Yeah.
do that in your free time? A lot of hiking or? Yeah.
And again, like as an Indian, I wasn't sure if I'll find my hiking people. But again, there were so many like hikers, like American hikers who were like, oh, Manali, you want to come with us? You don't have a car? Oh, we are going. So you come with us. And all the hikes, most of the hikes that I have done is because of the generosity of these friends. Again, these are not from campus. These are from other arenas, but still they are so willing. Nobody has their selfish interest to like get something out of a person. Only then they are going to do something for you. So
Right.
like it gives you a sense of belonging and inclusion.
Yeah.
As an outsider,
Yeah. And we talked about this on the phone a little bit about New Mexico is a really small community,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it can be really hard to get everybody to come in the same room and talk about the same business proposal like climate tech. How has your experience been there and getting everybody on the same page to move forward together?
So far, like I haven't had much opportunities on that front, but I would say like last week I attended a session on quantum, which was done at Q Station.
Right.
So Q Station does a lot of such events and they advertise about it on LinkedIn. So the only thing is that, okay, we have to do a lot of good marketing around whatever meetups that we are doing, and people have to have that. maybe there's this one thing where New Mexicans have this scarcity mindset, which you might have heard. So again, that mindset has to change, where they think that, okay, we actually have abundance of a lot of stuff, and not to like shrink up their mindset or be very protective of any ideas that they have. Because even when they come in these forums, they might not feel very comfortable sharing that their idea, thinking that, oh, maybe it's too stupid, or maybe somebody would steal it. Something of that sort happens. But I would say that if we create more awareness around it, people would show up. Right now, I haven't had the opportunity to organize any of these things, so I don't have like insights to offer. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but there are a lot of places to gather, like you said, Q Station. I was actually at that event too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At the quantum one? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So much. There's so much stuff happening in New Mexico.
Like if you show up and if you are like actually curious to learn about new stuff, and again, as a climate tech person, you might think, oh, quantum, it's like physics related. Why should I go there? But if you go there, you will see that how you can use the quantum dots for solar. Like UBQD is doing that thing. So again, not discarding something just because it doesn't fit into your definition or your perspective of what climate tech is or what green tech is. Like, just be open-minded, show up for events, and you might be able to connect dots and build up your product, which is actually like viable and innovative.
Yeah. A lot of the stories I do about workforce, you know, you might be talking about Sandia or Lanol but it's not just the engineers there. There are so many different sectors that it takes to actually put out a product or make progress in an area.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe a good place to end is your future. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years?
So in the near future, in the immediate future, I'm starting a role as a project manager with Speridian Technologies, where we are working on a public initiative with NMED, New Mexico Environment Department, where we are modernizing all the regulatory data so that it's more secure and accessible and searchable for everyone in the public. So I'm excited about that project. It's called Project Velocity. So that is there. And again, like I was telling you some time back, that job opportunities here in New Mexico for immigrants that could sponsor your work visa becomes a roadblock for people who would like to stay. But luckily, this organization where I have been offered this role, they would be sponsoring my work visa. So I guess I would get to stay more than a year and contribute to New Mexico's economy. And right now, I'm not in a state to say because again, it's a lottery system. I don't know if you are aware of it. There's an H-1B lottery system. So if I get picked up, then I get to stay more than a year. Otherwise, after 1 year, I have to pack my bags.
Makes it hard to plan.
But again, you have to make the best of whatever is on the plate for you right now. So right now, I'm just focusing on doing the best I can do with whatever has come my way. And in the future, maybe in 5 years, honestly, I still want to have something that I can work on my own company. And besides all that I do in the technology or like all the corporate stuff, you may say, I enjoy making a lot of art. So, and okay, maybe I didn't mention this, being in New Mexico and being close to Santa Fe made it so much better for me as a person who likes art and being in the nature. So yeah, sometime in the future, maybe 5 years down the line, having a own business or own startup, and then having an exhibition somewhere in Santa Fe. These are my 5-year goal plans.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Manali, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and it was a great discussion.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.